Solana Crossroads is happening this Friday and Saturday in Turkey. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a guide from someone who's never been to Turkey, but I've spoken to some people on just how to get around, what things to keep in mind, that sort of stuff. Firstly, here we are at Solana Crossroads website. You can still grab some tickets if you're keen. Basically, it's $600, and this includes the VIP rate with lunch and the after party. Otherwise, basic is more reasonable, but if you're coming from the US or Europe or anywhere else, this would be my suggestion here. Now, the first thing is, where should you stay? I've already covered this before, so if you've already booked in, then hopefully you are actually staying very, very close. But this is where the event is being held. The Hilton Istanbul, I'm going to try and pronounce this, Bosphorus. I apologize if I mucked that up. So stay very close. You want to be within walking distance, because apparently rush hour can be so insane that it can take like 40 minutes to get like a short area, or it can take hours. And if you use public transport, it's also very, very slow. As an example, going from the airport to here right now, and whatever time it is, it's probably like 5 p.m. or so right now in Turkey. So this takes 46 minutes at like 1 a.m. or something really, really late. It's still quite a bit. It's like 38 minutes. And if you want to jump on a train or use public transport, it's multiple things, and it takes a decent amount of time as well. Of course, if you do use this, it's very, very reasonable. Just as a general view, if you go from here into the Hilton area and use a private transfer, I was quoted 60 euros, which I feel is a little bit steep. And then in terms of actual taxis, for a local's probably going to pay 20 to 25 euros, whereas they'll probably charge you a little bit more if you are a foreigner. I have been told that, there are people that will try and charge you more, which is common in many places in the world. So just keep that in mind, but you should probably not be paying over 30 euros to go from here to here. Ideally, with your SIM card, make sure you've got roaming from whatever country you're currently in. Otherwise, Turkcell is deemed the best operator. Turkcell, and I've been told you can get a SIM card at the airport, but I don't have exact clarity on that. Also, with regards to visas, as far as I understand, most countries should be completely fine. So if we have a look at something like the United States, official passport holders like ambassadors and stuff, they have to get a visa, but ordinary passport holders are exempted from visa for up to 90 days. So most people should be okay, but this link will be below. You can go and check this if you're keen. Now, one thing to keep in mind, and if you're in crypto, you may be already aware of this, but Turkish inflation's very, very crazy, up 70% in terms of prices in the last year. As you can see with public transport, if you go from the airport into the Hilton, it's 40.5 Turkish lira, which is basically nothing, $1.26. But in general, I have been told that 1,000 Turkish lira is normally enough for like a casual meal for two. Of course, there could be a little bit of foreigner tax, as is expected in many countries. It is suggested that you actually use Turkish lira. There will be places that will accept euros, and they'll also accept US dollars, but it's probably not going to be at a decent exchange rate. So when you're in the airport, you can go and actually grab some lira. If we come back to the map, just know you can change your crypto, and I believe your euros and US dollars, in Hilton for lira if needed. So just get enough just to get you through to the first day. Otherwise, there's plenty of places in Turkey where you can do it, especially down in this region where you can change crypto into lira. But you should be fine just to do it here. Taksim Square, this is a tourist hotspot, but from what I've been told, this whole area is quite popular and very touristic. Now, in terms of food, it's very meat heavy. If you are like pescatarian, vegetarian, vegan, you will find options, but if you eat meat, then there's the kebab option, and there's plenty of places that kind of cater for that diet. In terms of getting around, Uber is not officially in Istanbul. I've done a little bit of research here. Basically, as far as I'm aware, Uber will allow you to connect to a taxi, and then when you're paying that taxi, you can use credit or debit card. I would probably stay away from that, and cash. And sometimes you can use Google Pay, Apple Pay, and PayPal apparently. But personally, I would just stick with cash, and I'll try and make sure that they're using a meter so that you don't overpay for anything. With regards to the tipping culture, there isn't necessarily any set rules. I spoke to one person who used to do 10%, but now because inflation's a little bit crazy, he kind of sticks around 5% of the value. But you can do what you like. When you're not at the conference, then something you may want to get involved with is the Turkish bath. Once again, I have no recommendations on actual Turkish baths, but I've got a little bit of information from someone that used to work in one. So this is a famous thing. Go and find an original one. Otherwise, you can go to the Hilton and use their services as well if you like. But if you find an original one, maybe it's more of an authentic experience. And if you want to pay extra for a coffee scrub or a salt scrub or anything like that, you're welcome to. But the therapist that I spoke to, she just said it's generally a waste of money. So if you're on a budget, skip it. If you've got plenty of time and plenty of money, go ahead, go and add it. And another thing that's quite authentic and popular with tourists is, of course, belly dancing. I have no idea where you can see the show, but if you want to do something authentic, go for it. If you have a little bit of time and if it's good weather, you may want to jump onto a boat tour and cruise along the waterways. This is quite a popular thing. Remember, with Istanbul, you've got the east and the west side. So this is literally what Istanbul is very, very famous for. It connects the east of the world with the west being Europe and the east being the majority of Turkey, and then your Middle Eastern countries. For attractions in Turkey, it's about mosques. There are plenty of mosques that you can go and visit. Just keep in mind that they don't have visit times the entire day, so you have to check the schedule. And I've also seen some recommendations from other videos to take a spare pair of socks, because you have to take off your shoes, you enter the mosque, you have to put on a clean pair of socks, otherwise they get completely filthy. Now, culturally, the religion is dominantly Islam. However, you can definitely get alcohol, there's no issue there. And in terms of a dress code, and normally this mostly affects just a woman, so apologies, but basically, I've been told there really isn't one. If you're going to a mosque, you may have to cover up to a certain degree. And I hope this short video has given you a little bit of information so you know how to navigate Istanbul a little bit better. One last thing, there is petty theft, so make sure you have travel insurance and don't take anything that's too valuable. Have fun, and I'll catch you there.